Let me introduce my panelists this morning. Mark Bichachi is a communication consultant, and Joseph Simeha, a political commentator, to give us the analytical perspective of this entire conversation that's happening right now. And Mark, I'll start with you. Is this pronouncement going to change the political trajectory in any way? What impact will it have?
The impact it will have is first the psychological impact of people finally accepting that Raila Odinga is actually going to run. Let us remember that there was a swath of people who were hoping, including some of the One Kenya principles, who were hoping that Raila Odinga would step down in their favor. So this pronouncement, of course, will put to rest any doubts of Odinga's candidature. Number two, it will also signify the consolidation of his campaign machinery, because as you know today, ODM has not put its machinery fully behind him. Whatever is happening has seemed more of a ragtag team, talking about mostly him going up the mountain. But now this would be an expectation that there would be a more reinforced and consolidated push towards his presidential bid. But also the expectation is that since many of the One Kenya principles are not attending, this could lead to a further distancing between the candidacy of Raila Odinga and One Kenya, and what that means either for Raila Odinga or for William Ruto, or the possibility of a third force then would come sharply into focus. But that said, it is still early days. We know nominations are slated for early in the year by the IEBC, because that's the only time where the other golden question will be answered: who will be Raila Odinga's running mate, and what would that mean for the elections? I think the person of the running mate for William Ruto is clear, because that person must obviously come from central Kenya. But Raila without Kalonzo, for example, where does he go? And if he goes to the mountain, who does he pick? And if not the mountain, where does he go? So these are the critical questions. And yes, things will change. We know that when Raila Odinga simply started going to central Kenya, things did change, and this is expected to continue. And let's remember, this is not a new candidate. He simply has to reignite the flame that he has had before.
Yeah, what do you think? Will this change the trajectory of politics in any way?
Trevor, thank you very much for having me on. In my understanding, today's event confirms what has been known, for quite a while. If it wasn't known anywhere, at least within the Orange Democratic Movement, where previously I've been a member, it was always known that Raila Odinga was going to be a presidential candidate. So it confirms that, and then it is a highlight of, I think, what Raila Odinga has considered his biggest challenge in his glamour to be the president of Kenya, and that is getting the backing of the status quo. The status quo meaning the people in control of the economic and political levers of power within the state. And this happened to be people from Kikuyu land or central Kenya, although the profiling is Mount Kenya region, but this is mostly Kikuyu, people from the Kikuyu community who have been in control of the levers of economic and political power from independence, actually, a brief lull during the Moi days, but just playing their role behind the scenes. So I think that is what is going to be confirmed today, what has been known, and his celebration of the fact that he has visibly received the backing of this group of people. What does it portend for the others? I think what they have been waiting for, the others, I mean the other presidential contenders, what they have been waiting for, which is let every one of us come, whoever wants to contest for the presidency, come out and be known that this is my competition. I'm sure the others cherish that. I mean, when you are in a political competition, you cherish to know who your real competition is. So I think that's important also for these competitors and their backers, that it comes out openly and clearly that this is our competition. I suppose you'll give a chance for a comment on what you asked about the Oka leaders not gracing that occasion. Yeah.
Yeah, we will get into the OCA leaders not gracing it in just a bit. But Mark, this issue, let's talk about the perceptions being created. From an analytical perspective, there's a perception being created that he has the backing of the state. Is that a good thing or a bad thing from a political standpoint?
Well, it's an interesting question, really, because Raila Odinga stands at a very unique position. Number one, he has arguably won an election, at least in 2007, without being the state's candidate. Number two, he's a politician who's basically charted his own path moving forward. So if he was a project, for example, how the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, being a political novice in 2002 and was Moi's project, as it were, without any experience, without any muscle of his own, then we would say it is a total disadvantage. But Raila Odinga is charting once again paths that have not been charted before. So yes, he does have the support of the sitting president. He does not have the support of the deputy of the president who's in his competition. And the question really you've got to ask yourself is, does Raila Odinga really need the state? Because as if you ask me, the state has more or less depended on Raila Odinga to keep the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta afloat. We know that the squabbles and the fights within Jubilee could have destabilized this government. So is he a project in this classic sense of being supported by the president? Yes. But when you look at his history and his capacity, then it throws water on that project term, because he is fully capable, and he's shown this 3-4 times in his career, that he's fully capable of mounting quite a credible challenge for the presidency by himself. So the question is, does he finally have the top up, the 50% plus one, to get him from being a close second to actually being a winner? That's really the main question. And so far, it does not seem to me that the project term is hurting him at all. If you look at his reception in the mountain, if you look at how his Azimio campaign has gone, it does not seem like he's suffering from that tag at all.